computer. Okay, welcome to the full moon eclipse in Taurus. Big eclipse, long eclipse in Taurus. Yeah, so I was saying, although I've talked to a few people today, even Ildika was saying that she had a migraine, and people were saying that they've had headaches, and I sort of just feel, I don't know, there's a lot of, I sort of get this feeling of anguish, actually, that there's a lot of anguish around at the moment with the energy of this particular moon. And yeah, that Scorpio Taurus axis, we're moving into the Scorpio Taurus nodes as well. So the north node in Taurus, the south node in Scorpio. So it's moving into that energy sort of over the next 18 months soon. So it's kind of like a precursor of the energy that we're moving into for the next 18 months as well. But we've got to, there's a lot of revealing, I guess, going on, and there has been all year a lot of revealing going on. But Scorpio is very much about bringing out that which is hidden, and that which is perhaps not something that we want to see, not something we necessarily want to face as well. So that could be anywhere in our lives, and also globally at the same time. Then we've got Taurus, which is the energy of the earth. So we've got all of this energy going on. We've got Uranus sitting in Taurus, and it's going to be squaring Saturn. So we've got the energies of the earth, food, energy, money. All of this stuff is undergoing a huge change and a huge disruption. And I think we're all feeling it, and different countries sort of have different themes in how we're experiencing it. But it is it's definitely a global thing because it's a global plan. But it's sort of calling us, I think, from trying to look at it from a more conscious point of view. We're all being called to step up and into who and what we really are, and we're being called to basically face the dragon and face the unknown, and to be able to do it in a way that helps us grow consciously and not give in to fear, and be able to be sovereign beings who are able to stand in our own power. And so all of the work that we've done since we were born, when we look back at our lives, you'll notice that all of your experiences that you've had up until now, the people you've met, the things you've done, the traumas you've had, it's, when you look at it, it's brought you here. And it's also brought you the tools that you need to be able to move into the dragon's mouth, to move into this unknown time. So it's the way of looking at it, I guess, more from that mythic warrior point of view. You know, in all of the myths, there's always been the warriors who have gone and, gone to, find various different things, and they've had to meet the dragon, they've had to slay the dragon or tame the dragon or ride the dragon. And that was part of the quest. So when we're looking at it from that mythic point of view, it's the quest. So for each of us, we've all got this quest that we're on for ourselves, learning who and what we truly are, so that we can grow from this and fully step into our godlike natures. Because it is like there's a force that's trying to stop us from evolving, that's trying to prevent us from being who we are, trying to not allow us to see who and what we really are. So it is like there's a war of some sort going on in that sense of ignorance and consciousness. And I'm feeling that there's so many people now around the world waking up to the illusion that we've all sort of been under, that many of us have already known it to be an illusion, and or felt something wasn't right. But a lot of people who are only just waking up for the first time, it's the first time they face the dragon. And the energy at the moment, this particular moon is really bringing, I mean, the climax of this part of it anyway, is really revving up. And that's what this moon is about. It's kind of like a beginning, even though it's a full moon, being the first of the eclipse season, it's like the beginning of this cycle of we either face the dragon, walk into the dragon's mouth and into the unknown, or we stay in fear and try to bury our heads in the sand and end up basically being swept around the ocean like a jellyfish. So that's how I see it.
Yeah, I'm loving it. I love when everything comes to the surface and we have to see things as they are and deal with it, because it puts, when the truth is out there and everyone can see it, there's no hiding anymore. So the ones who have been trying to make an illusion for everyone else and have everyone else believe the lies, there's nowhere for them to run. So I love looking at them squirm, and I love looking at them, seeing how they're getting out of, trying to get out of it. I love it, because it is just the raw truth of how it is. And it's from there that we start to build again. And we have so much of our potential that a lot of the times has been, it's been squashed. Our potential because of people who want to keep us down, inhibited, repressed. Yeah, they're the words I was trying to find. I just can't find them at the moment. One of the things that was running through my mind is this is the time of when Ned Kelly was actually hung, but it did make changes in laws in how the police were treating normal everyday people back from those colony days. It hasn't changed much, but it did start to make that change there. So that's the kind of raw truth that will be coming out. And I'm going to love it when I see all of the BS from politics come to the surface and people being more educated in the choices that they're making. So that's a good thing too. So loving it, yeah.
Yeah, I think that I feel personally that we're going to be able to get through this. I don't feel that side is going to win the battle. I mean, this may continue for quite a few years yet, but it's not like they're hiding it either. The World Economic Forum in Davos was recently, I believe, and they basically came out and said what their intentions are. So it's not hidden anymore. It's out there for the world to see. So it's knowing that what the intentions are. So once you know what their intentions are, then you can see where it all comes down into the more local experiences.
Yeah, where we fall into it as just your normal everyday person.
Yeah. So there's a lot of courage, times of courage, and being able to go, okay, I surrender to the truth.
Yeah.
And to ask for help from the gods and just say, okay, I don't know where I'm going. I don't know where this is taking me, and I'm just going to surrender to that truth.
Yeah, spirit will always be there to help you. If you're there and ask, they'll always be there. And it is such a time of hope and optimism at the same time, because all of the old structures are being torn down. Yeah, so I feel like it's the people, us small people, who are having more power now to be able to make informed choices.
The Aquarian energy. That's the Aquarius. Yeah, that's Aquarius. The people. Yeah. So it's exciting times. So we just got to keep. And that's why it's so important to come together as a community, because we need communities more than ever now of like-minded people. Because there's such an agenda of trying to break people up and to create division and to create hatred, that we have to go, no, we're not playing that game. I mean, people have different opinions, different ideas, different needs, but that doesn't mean that we have to hate each other. It just means that, we have our different choices, and we have to, as conscious beings, be more broad in how we accept each other. Okay, so let's get ready for the full moon, right? So just getting comfortable, lighting candles if you haven't already done so. Okay. And just taking a nice deep breath in. And letting it out. Taking a nice deep breath in. And letting it out. And taking a deep breath in. And letting it out. And just being aware of your body. And just focusing on the heart area and seeing this light forming in that area as it spreads and gets bigger and bigger and bigger. Make or bring light into our hearts, into our hearing light and sight light, into our right light and left light, before us light, behind us light, above us light and below us light, making us one with the light. And this light that we're all a part of. And on this powerful night of the full moon, we practice the ancient rites. Hail to thee, Queen of the night sky. Hail to thee, Lady of the full moon. Known by many names. Tonight we honor your power. Tonight we are as one. Your beauty and power, strength and magnetism are felt within and without us. The opportunities that you bring enable us to focus on who and what we truly are, the challenges, and the truths. We honor the Great Mother. We honor the alluring, nurturing, and receiving power of the divine feminine. And we bask in light and glory. Queen of the luminous night sky, hear our call. We are as one and we draw in your light. We draw in your power. We feel the light shine within us, and we feel your light glowing about us. We feel the fullness of the letting go and of this new beginning, this new cycle of the eclipse season. We are your beauty, we are your magic, we are your wisdom. We are your compassion, and we draw you in, and we draw you within. We are all one. And we ask that you help us remember that we are all one. One humanity, many expressions of that, but we're all connected. And when one of us hurts, we all hurt. With this Taurian energy of the earth, the fixed sign of Taurus, we're going to take a journey to meet the earth element. And if we're struggling right now with any earth issues, shortages, fears, this element might be able to help. Just focusing again on the breath, taking a nice deep breath in and letting it out. Taking a deep breath in and letting it out. And another deep breath in and letting it out, just feeling all of the tension just melting away, going into the ground, down, down, down into the ground. And just feeling that wave of relaxation coming over the body, that feeling of peace. And as you're feeling safe and comfortable sitting with your eyes closed, just feel how good it feels to relax, to surrender, to let go. Knowing that you have all you need right now, all the skills, all the knowledge, even the physical resources to do what you came here to do right here, right now. And anything else that you may need, it'll be given to you. And in your mind's eye, you find yourself outside in a familiar place. And it's a fine day. It's a place you've come to before. And you sit and you rest. It's a pleasant spot that you like, where you feel safe and at ease. And you spend a few moments taking in the familiar surroundings. You listen to the sounds. And you smell any scents. And you quietly observe. And after a little while, you spot something you haven't noticed before. It's an opening. Perhaps a doorway or an entrance, a gap in a wall or a gate. Perhaps it's a hole in the ground. It's open and you're curious. And even though you may feel a little hesitant, you get up and take a closer look. You notice that it is some kind of entrance, a little unknown, quite unknown. But you have this urge to go through it and see what's inside. You just take a moment to examine your feelings and resolve them before going through the entrance. And inside, a short passageway leads to steps going down. And you go along the passageway and down, down, down the steps. Down each step. Going down, down, down a long way. And at the bottom of the steps, you find yourself facing another passage. And just ahead in the distance, you can see a small, faint light source. But the space from where you are until you reach that small light source is in darkness. You will have to go through that. The unknown, the hidden, what can't be seen. And as you pluck up your courage, you step into the darkness. How do you proceed? What is the passage like? Are there sounds? Are there smells? What does it feel like underfoot? And if you touch the sides of the passage, what do they feel like? Just take as much time as you need to get through the passage, using all of your senses except sight to walk through. You're using your senses of smell, touch, hearing. Maybe you can even taste the air. You find that your awareness is becoming heightened as you focus on these other senses. And you realize just how dependent you may have been on your vision, and that they may have even been a distraction. You eventually reach the source of the small illumination, and you find a portable light that you can take with you. You pick it up, and looking ahead, you realize you're underground. Around you, you can see evidence of past human endeavor in this underground system. hewn from rock or dug into the earth. Carrying your light source, you continue further into the area. You observe the past achievements of human beings preserved within this earth. And you take your time to explore. Know that there's a lesson from the past to be seen here. And if you discover this lesson, think about what it means to you and what you can learn from it. And when you feel you've spent enough time exploring the underground area, with its evidence of human endeavour, you come to a cleft in the solid walls of rock or stone or earth, with a narrow passageway beyond it, once more going down. You squeeze through the passageway, which slopes downwards. This passage is different from the area you've just explored. It's part of a natural cave and it's been unaltered by humans. You travel onwards, and as your light illuminates the surface of the rock, you become aware of its texture, the colour and consistency. You notice its mineral structure and the way it was formed, and it gives it a unique appearance. And as you move onwards through this passage, you learn secrets of the past from the stone. Things are revealed. Truths of the past that you would never have known, weren't told. You continue observing the cave as you go, seeking to understand its message. And the further and deeper you go, the more the message becomes clear. And just continue to travel at your own pace and decipher the message of the stone. After some time, you come to another narrow cleft. You can't see what lies at the other side of this tiny way through, or how long it goes on for. you can see that to get through this, it's going to be a tight squeeze. The opening is so narrow, it'll be difficult to get in. And you don't know if it's going to get narrower. And you also realize that you can't see what lies beyond, even when you hold your light up to the opening. So decide whether you want to keep going or not. If you decide not to risk it, you may return the way you came, back through the cave and passage, and then up the stairs and through to the safe place in which you began your journey. And if you do that, you just become more aware of where you are right now, aware of your body. If you decide to continue forward, you must consider the gap and the best way to attempt to squeeze through this narrow opening. And so you make your decision now. If you decide to go on, you squeeze into the gap. You struggle, and at times it feels as though you're stuck in the cramped, tight space. Your light source goes out. You're constricted and in darkness, but you struggle on. Eventually, with much effort, you do manage to get through, and you realize it was worth it. You find yourself in the most awe-inspiring cavern you have ever seen. It is lit by some strange glow from within the rocks themselves, and there's natural wonders glistening on every surface. So you decide to look around. And as you do, you become aware that you're not alone. At the far end of the cavern, you see a figure known to be an earth elemental. You're in their realm. You cross the cavern and go to the elemental creature. You may approach them and greet them. And as you do, the elemental replies, speaking words that are meant for you alone. Listen to what they have to say. And if you wish, converse with them. And I'll give you a few moments for that. And after a while, your conversation draws to a close. You thank the elemental for what you've learned and what you've seen. The elemental beckons you forward again and hands you a gift for you to take with you, back to your realm above the ground. You look to see what the gift is as it's placed into your hand. And as you look at the gift, you become aware of a change around you. And when you look up, you realize that you've returned to your safe and familiar spot above the ground, where you started this journey. Now it's time to transform back into the material world. You start to focus on your physical body right here, right now. You start to hear the sounds around you in your neighborhood or your room or house. You start to become aware of the temperature. And just wiggling your fingers, toes, and emerging. And when you're ready, opening your eyes. Offerings of rose perfume. We thank you, Lady of the Moon, Mother Goddess, for your presence and your blessings, and your help, your assistance, and your guidance. Guide us and be with us as we journey forth into the unknown. Show us how to use the tools that we've acquired over our lifetimes. Show us how to use them, and show us how to remember ourselves. Give thanks to the spirits local to the land in which we live and hold our rights. May all be pleased and may all be at peace. Everyone awake? Okay. How'd you go?
That was good. I really felt everything at the beginning, just melting away, like during that induction or that beginning. And I kind of got lost from my own awareness for a little bit in that meditation, which is good. I got really into it. And what I was given was a book. I was in a library. And as I was going through this experience, it seemed like the book was just a symbol, but what was really given to me was knowledge. And the book symbolized that. And what that knowledge is, I don't know. I guess I'll have to read it. Yeah, that was great.
Yeah, I think that one's my favorite of them, of the elemental path working. Anybody else want to jump in?
Yeah, I also that safe space turned me up in a library, but I didn't get a book. It was just I don't really have great visualizations. I guess I don't see many things. So that library, I was more focused on the detail. I could just seem to stand out a little bit more. So that found more interesting to me. And I guess also when you were talking about the elemental, at the beginning was a really clear color of the elemental, like a turquoisey color, and tall, but I couldn't I didn't really feel like I was conversing, but I just allow myself to let, even if I could hear one word, or not hear but understand one word, and that was just live. So yeah, it was that was probably the key things I picked out of that.
Cool.
Thanks.
Anyone else want to jump in? You don't have to, it doesn't have to be about the path working.
Can you guys hear that like rumbling in the background?
Rumbling?
Yeah.
It's probably the fan. Probably a fan.
No, it's at my place. My husband's actually having a shower and it's in the next room and the plumbing is really noisy.
Oh, right.
I had it on mute because I thought you would be able to hear it and I'd be interrupting everyone. That's why I asked, can you hear that?
No, I can't hear anything.
Okay, I'll go then. After all of that. Yeah, that was really interesting. At the very start of it, I saw a diamond. Okay, and I thought, okay, that's interesting. Then ran into the old lady again that's always there wherever I go, whatever I do, she's always there. Went into the cave and the cave was lovely and cool, okay, and the feeling of the rock was rough but smooth at the same time, and that coolness was helping bring down inflammation in my body. Okay, it's just really good for my health. And I did feel elementals along the way, and the further I got, the more comfortable I was feeling. It's almost like a birthing experience. It's like the passages were a metaphor for the birth canal and the womb, and each little compartment between the passages was like things that and feelings from other lifetimes, and I was becoming egoless. So when you talk about the rock crevices getting tighter, it didn't really matter because I wasn't a body really anymore. I was part of the elemental energy. The lady's still there and everything like that. And I've seen a purple light, but purple light, I wasn't seeing it with my people eyes. It was more through the third eye. So I was just following my third eye energy through the rock and feeling with my hands the side of the rock, okay, so to speak. And that was still smooth and clear. Then it opened up into a whole new place where I was, again, nothing, no body, feeling the power of the earth, the magnetism of the earth. And when I was in there, it was like the elementals, they were playing games. So it was like, one of them was bowls, like, you need to have more fun. Come and play with this. You know, that kind of energy there. So I thought, okay, all right, join in. And then I was thinking, oh yeah, I'll have to get bowls for my son and my son-in-law for Christmas. So I totally went on a whole different tangent. But that was a metaphor for families, past lives within families, past spirit within families, how we're connected in the journey you are on, that there's no such thing as an ending to one life to the next, that you just move on into another space. Again, yeah, the old lady was in there. I actually feel like the old lady's Hecate or someone that is, maybe it's not Hecate, Sheila McGee. That's about the internal womb of Mother Earth, I think, isn't it? I'm not real sure, someone tell me. And then I came out of that. Yeah, so that was my experience. So I don't know whether I followed along with you or whether I went on my own tangent, but it was really lovely.
Oh, cool. Yeah, it's they're journeys. So, you know, you go where you go. Yeah.
First time I played bowls in meditation.
It's funny, it's interesting sometimes the things that come up in a guided meditation. It's you wouldn't put it there deliberately. It's something that your subconscious just puts up there.
Yeah.
And
I
it's
see it makes us all go, yay! Let me have a go. It was like a fun family time. Yeah.
Yeah, really bright there, Sandra.
Really
The
bright.
lights like woo, all of a sudden. Well, I just jump in. I really enjoyed this meditation in particular. I'm being Taurus moon, which is Earth, and being Capricorn, which is Earth, and I could really, so there's a big connection automatically. But a lot of talk about dragons, and I've got one. Lighting is not too good here, but I've got this one. It's been staring at me this whole time. Crystal I got a year ago. So yeah, I got him sitting right here. He's staring at me the whole time. Plus, I have, because of martial arts, I do have a dragon tattoo as well. I've always been into the dragon for the longest time because of, again, the martial art connection. So, and I did a lot of thinking about the dragon, and I mean, it's real easy to see the element of fire connected with the dragon, but to me, I could see other elements in there as well, in particular earth, because this is a being, whatever you want to classify them as, something that's been seen historically everywhere throughout the world. So I see that as an earthly connection. I mean, so I see more than just fire in the dragon. And on top of that, I think the dragon's been, there's a lot of, I don't know, negativity surrounding the dragon, maybe from Christianity, whatever. I don't personally see or feel that at all. But and I'm totally aware of this whole serpent versus I don't know, there's another, I think it's a dragon thing out there in certain places. But yeah, anyway, back to the meditation. Yeah, the cave again, because the earth element, I totally see myself descend and really descend. I have been doing a lot of meditation here on my own, and it's like taking me to a different place, a different level, and it's been really, really helpful. I remember one part about the darkness and feeling your way through the darkness. Again, for me, because a lot of my life revolves around the martial arts, so it just, you know, we used to do a lot of stuff in the dark, moving around with eyes closed or, you know, even covered, getting through things and even being attacked. You know, so it's something that you know, I'm just big into, and so there was a part where later on where there was I guess a choice to pick up the light or not. It's like I chose not to pick up the light, but continue on nonetheless. And because I just, that's just me. I just wanted to rely on my other senses, you know, than just sight, which can be deceiving. Sight is, you know, it may be one of the biggest things people feel or notice, but it can be very deceiving.
Distracting too.
Yeah. So I chose not to pick up the light and just keep going, groping through the dark and using what I've been taught, and it went well. And then I don't know, you know, as usual, I always pick a tarot card, and I got the the Emperor, of course, who's been like following me for quite some
Did you
time.
have the Emperor last time? I can't remember.
Yeah, it's
Oh.
just he's just like, they call him a stalker, and you know, tarot. When you keep getting a card, the Emperor, which Aries, I believe is fire element. Speaking of dragons, but so I don't know. I got I got a lot out of it. One thing that just kept coming to me too. I don't know if it's a meditation or without, but it's the whole us versus we thing or them thing. It can be very distracting and dangerous. I know from personally having been there on two different levels now. It's a total, I don't know, it could be a total distraction. It's really not an us versus them. It's us versus us, which is
It's all
shadow
us.
work.
It's all us.
Which is shadow work.
Yeah. Yes.
I mean, you know, we have the opportunity to make our own decisions, and, you know, whatever consequences they may incur, well, that's kind of our choice, you know. So is it, you know, I don't but I was getting a lot of that, so, and just want to throw that in there, whatever it's worth. But yeah, otherwise I really enjoyed meditation, and So, yeah.
Cool. Mm. Cool. I don't think there were any major questions this week. Go and have a look and see. So anybody got any observations or questions about anything that you want to talk about?
I have one.
Mhm.
You had mentioned that they, whoever they are, had disclosed what their intentions were. What exactly did you hear or mean by that you could share? I was curious.
So if you, I'm trying to remember exactly what they were, what I think it was Klaus Schwab that said it. God, now it's gone out of my head. It was something to the effect of taking taking, I don't want to say taking the power away from the people, but it was kind of along the lines of his plan is that everything's taken away basically from the people, so that you have one world government, and that they basically own everything and control everything. That's why you're seeing a lot of these big corporations buying land, particularly. I know they're doing that in America, and trying to get people, the average everyday person, off the land and into the city, so that the corporations will then start to basically manufacture all the food and all of the resources. And it's part of what it was called back in the 80s when it first started, the new economic world order. And the interesting thing about Klaus Schwab, and he's the one who he started the World Economic Forum, and so every year, all of the very wealthy people, the very leaders of the world, and the people basically who are running the world globally go every year and they talk about, the way forward for humanity. And he's written books about his philosophy and how he sees things. His father was a Nazi. His father was totally supportive of the Nazi regime of Hitler, and Hitler referred to his regime as the new order. So it's you only have to go onto the World Economic Forum's website, go onto YouTube, explore the World Economic Forum, Davos. Every year they meet and they talk about what the agenda is, and it's eye-opening, because he's also got a school that he started up. It's not a school, it's like it's called something to do with it's like an institute for young leaders, world leaders, and a lot of the world leaders have been to his institute, such as Bill Gates, Jacinda Ardern, Justin Trudeau, Angela Merkel, and so they're all sort of graduates of his program. And so he's very influential, and a lot of the people that have the control over the world and the influence of the world are all part of this this thing that they've been planning, and a lot of countries signed up for back in the 1980s. So the gist of it is they believe that to make things, well, they claim that to make things more sustainable, everything needs to be centralized and governed from one place. So the nations lose their sovereignty, and basically we all become like a global thing. And in theory, a lot of what they say sounds good. When you read the plan, it kind of sounds like it's a good idea. But when you actually get involved and you really look at the philosophy, you can see that it's maybe ideologically sounds good, but in practicality, it actually takes our sovereignty away from us as human beings and puts it in the hands of basically this one world government. So yeah, and this is part of what the whole Aquarius Uranus thing is, because you've got this government structure of control that we've had all of our lives, and for hundreds of years we've had these control hierarchies, whether they've been royalty, in the past, or the church and religious organizations in the past, governments in the past. And the relationship that we've had with them has always been very abusive. It's very much like being in a relationship with a narcissist. You know, you get shamed, you get gaslit, you get controlled, you lose your ability to be able to have your freedoms, and we grow up in situations and environments where we can never really express who and what we truly are. And when it comes to our consciousness and awakening to our powers as magical beings, that part's always been suppressed. It's been either suppressed back in the Middle Ages by Christianity, or the church, who had their own brand of Christianity. It wasn't really Christianity. It was their version of it, suppressing, of course, magic and everything back then. And then it's had various different sorts of versions of being oppressed right up to this day and age, where we live in a very materialistic world and everything's very much based on more of an atheistic, scientific, materialist approach. And anything spiritual is kind of seen as being woo-woo or in our imagination. There always seems to have be this energy that wants to take us away from who and what we truly are. And that's what we're in. We're in a kind of a battle of, do we go down the road of always being controlled by and being in an abusive relationship with these powers, whoever they happen to be at the time, or do we somehow realize our true nature and our consciousness and somehow try to go in a different direction? So Uranus is trying to change things, make things very different. It's always about change. It's about freedom. It's about something totally different to what's been in the past, because Saturn wants to hold on to the past structure. And so this new economic world order is the same thing, really, that we've always had. It's just another group of people in control of the masses. So whether it's royalty, whether it's the church, whether it's modern governments, whatever, it's the same thing. It's just in a more global form. So that's Saturn. And then we've got Uranus, which is coming in going, hey, you know, you're at the stage now, humans, where, you know, you really need to start to think of where do you really want to go, and where are you ready to start going? So we're being challenged to find something totally different to move forwards into. That's what we're sort of being called to do right now. So I don't know if that answered your question.
Oh, completely, and then some. Yeah, very, very interesting. I'm going to check into that and read and do some searching on that. You know, as you were saying what you just said, the total analogy of the narcissistic relationship really hit home. I mean, I can totally see that. But what kept going through my mind was the devil card, the enslavement of humanity. It's amazing. Yeah.
And we've been enslaved for a long time.
Yeah.
Hundreds and hundreds of years, thousands of years. But you know, we're so conditioned to it and programmed towards it. We think it's normal, like you do if you grow up in an abusive family. You think it's normal, and that when you go and you hang out maybe with, or you discover people who've grown up in families that weren't so abusive or weren't abusive at all, they just seem totally weird to you because you're used to the abuse. We become used to it and we think it's normal. It's normalized. So we don't realize we're in an abusive relationship.
Interesting. Thank you.
One of the things I've been getting about this here, and I know it seems a little bit off onto the more creative side, but I'm going to go and watch The Lord of the Rings again. There's metaphors in this that relate to now. I can see that whole control and having the people having to go through this fire and through these trials to be able to destroy what is actually destroying us. And then there's the sense of freedom after that. So, yeah, I'm going to go and binge out on that movie and see where it fits to now. Yeah.
Yeah, they're great movies. They're so full of that mythic way of explaining things. And The Matrix, of course, The Matrix is a great explanation
Yeah,
of what it's almost a documentary, really, in
yeah,
some ways. A very creative sort of way of saying this is what we're in. We're in a computer program, we're in a simulation,
yeah,
and we don't even really realize what the world looks like outside of how we're programmed to perceive the world. And for those of you particularly who are particularly psychic, and you do see things other people don't see, you know what it's like to be able to see more of what's there.
yeah. And then you go to try and explain it, and you're looked at like you're mad. It's like, oh, that's right. And when you get onto the truth and you're getting people to know someone doesn't want you to know, and then so they're making out like, oh, she doesn't know what she's talking about, she's mad. You know, so there's all kinds of stuff going on there. And it's like, oh my God, just open your eyes and see, just, get all the BS out of your head and just see what's going on. Connect the dots. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's only just education. Like, you follow the money. That's really all you have to do, is follow the money. The money will lead you to where it's all starting, because it's all about money is power. So it's just follow the money, and you'll see where it's always led. It's always led to that direction. So that's what we're in at the moment, and we've all opted to be here now. So we've all come here to do something, whether it's just within our own lives, our own families, or whether it's more influential in the world. I mean, everybody who's here now is playing some part in it, and has volunteered to come here. So it's just a matter of knowing ourselves and knowing what tools we've come into this world with. And as I said at the beginning, whatever experiences we've had up until now in our lives has prepped us for now.
I feel, yeah, exactly. I feel that, what you're saying, man. We're all prepped. We're prepared. Yeah.
Mm.
I think it says the saying, power corrupts, and power corrupts absolutely. And people like Klaus Schwab or Schwab, whatever, Nazi bastard, people like him, they come, they go throughout history. I mean, biblically, because I've studied theology, Nimrod was the first Klaus Schwab of recorded history. These people, they come, they go.
Yep.
And, it's like we deal with them, we, accept them. And, it's like, really, is it them or is it us? We might want to point the finger more at us than them for letting us let these little imbeciles, these pieces of shit, excuse the French, take us over and rule Lord over us.
Because it keeps repeating itself. The history keeps repeating. I mean, this is not the first guy that's turned up. Yeah.
Right. And biblically, again, from a theological point of view, end times prophecy, which I specialized in, that was my favorite part, was end times theology as a child. And I took advantage of that. At the end, biblically, it talks about a time where, there's a quickening, their words, not mine, where, the devil, knows that his time is short. And this is straight out of the book of Revelation. People can look it up themselves. I'm not making this up. These are not my words.
Yeah, it's in other cultures as well.
Yeah. And so, it's like, again, we've had these creatures, these slime bags, like, Klaus Schwab is the latest manifestation of these bastards, and I just can't, they're bastards, they're scumbags. I want to just, just resist at all costs, whatever that may be. But, again, they just reincarnate over and over. So, the thing is again, back to theological, looking at this from a biblical, which I don't, whatever, it talks about this quickening and that they know that the time is short. I can't help but think that they know something. And when I say they, I mean, the people that's like us versus them whole scenario, that they know something up in the skies, maybe extraterrestrial stuff is going to hit us soon. And of course, we down here don't know this. We're not privy to this, but because why now? I mean, everything is just boom. It's like everything is now, just everything hitting. And yet, I mean, this has always been the case where it's like, us versus them. They own this, they own that. We don't know nothing. We work for them, blah, 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 blah. You can stretch it out from the first day to present day. And, but it is coming to a halt. And, where we are, I guess the Aquarian age is some people would call it. We are on the precipice of another age, another aeon, as Crowley himself used the word.
The time of
Something
Horus.
is about to hit, but what is it? What is it? Some type of extraterrestrial thing, or is the planet about to be hit? These people, I mean, and I have followed them, my God, since the 1980s, since I was a teenager. All these people, all these bastards, they're currently they're buying up, like you mentioned, land all over the place. They're buying up quite a bit of land in Australia, in the US, everywhere, Africa, everywhere. They're building and living in underground tunnels. So it's like they know something and they're suppressing it. But hey, that's how it is. You have the ability to see stuff that we don't. And what you're going to do, you're going to protect yourself. What do we do? Do we go along with it or do we resist whatever? I've always been of the mentality, resist. I don't like tyrants. I grew up with a tyrant. I hate tyrants. I hate bullies. I've fought them and dealt with them my entire life. That's what got me into martial arts. And, I'm not about to start dealing with them now, other than to, so, it's like, there you go. There's where we're at. I mean, it's like, really, have we progressed? Have we really progressed? I feel like I don't know, 2001. Arthur, who's the person who made the movie 2001? His name I can't think of. Yeah.
Kubrick.
Yeah, Kubrick. Yeah. He was definitely seeing things and taking us behind the curtain, pulling that curtain behind. Yeah, kind of how.
He's another visionary.
Yeah, and look what happened to him. So I guess that's how it goes.
History repeats itself. It always repeats itself. So that's something we don't learn from our history, and it does repeat itself. And there's even talk, that we need to be more careful about, the whole asteroid thing, asteroid belt, and of course the whole ET thing, of course, is being spoken of a lot, especially to do with our DNA and going back into the Sumerians with the Anunnaki and going back into history. Then you've got the Babylonian calendar, Babylonian astrology. So astrologically, from the Babylonians' point of view, this is a particular time, a really crucial time. Then you've got the Mayan calendar. So a lot of ancient, what we think are ancient anyway, cultures, which probably really weren't that ancient when you think of the greater scheme of the earth and humans, knew what was coming. But that information here, it has been hidden from us, for sure. Definitely been hidden from us.
Yeah. And I mean, just one last word, as far as this us versus them thing, I think it's a little bit over, exaggerated, to be honest. Because again, I've been studying this. Yeah, I've been studying this, my God, since the 1980s, maybe even before that. I know what's going on. I do. And nothing what's going on is new. Nothing. I mean, even the COVID thing that's been thought of.
It's
you
just
know,
global
in
now.
some
It's,
monster movie.
yeah, it's just
Yeah,
global now,
yeah.
whereas in the past it was more isolated to individual
Mm.
countries. Now it's just happening on a global basis because we've got the technology and we are more global. So rather than it just being something that happened in Russia back in the 1920s, or you know, in Germany in the 30s, it's happening all globally now. So it's really just all
Well,
changed.
well, it's also because of technology.
Hmm.
Now we have a faster, quicker way, the internet, to spread all this stuff, that as opposed to before Nazi Germany and prior, we couldn't spread these things as quickly.
No,
So now the world is we're more plugged in. But still, I mean, it's the same thing, really. It's just new technology, you know, the COVID injection, whatever. If it wasn't that, it'd be something else. You know, it's always going to be something. It's like, it's really, who are we? We need to look at ourselves rather than pointing at Klaus Schwab, Adolf Hitler, you know, on and on. You know.
Well, that's what we've been called to do. We've been called to look at ourselves, because it's only we have to look at ourselves. We have to stop and go, what are we doing? You know, we're so used to, because we've been in an abusive relationship with the people in power for thousands of years. We are like children looking to a parent, and we've got that child-parent relationship, which is that the parent's a narcissist, and so we're infantilized. We're expecting these other people to solve our problems for us. We're expecting these other people to tell us what to do, when really we need to be learning how to stand on our own 2 feet and take back our sovereignty and be the gods that we are, and not be looking for this other to take care of us. We need to be thinking very, very differently to how we've ever thought before. And maybe each time we've had these dictators, these tyrants come up, they've provided an opportunity for us to do this, to have this opportunity to make this decision. And in the past, some people have managed to do it. They probably got killed for it. We keep getting this opportunity. It keeps coming back for us to learn from it. So we can, I think we're in a better position to learn from it now, because it's global and we have more connection. There are more people who are waking up to what's going on, and they are going, okay, well, what's happening and how do I? Definitely a lot of the spiritual community knows what's going on and is going, okay, well, this is my opportunity to really touch base with my true self and really connect to who and what I really am.
Yeah,
I think really, well, I was just going to say one more thing. I think really, essentially, the bottom line, some people are going to get it, like us here, and some people are just, they'll never get it, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's always been the way. We'll get people who will progress, and there's people who won't, and that's just the nature of, I guess, where people are at. It's I mean, so many people who've written about this in the past, even prophesized about it in the past, of saying, you know, there's going to be the people who are more, I guess, consciously oriented, who is more spiritually oriented and are working on themselves, are going to be the ones who are going to discover what's going on and be able to work on themselves and take this opportunity to go with it. And there are, of course, going to be the people who are asleep, and they're going to stay asleep to it. At least 30% of the population are going to stay asleep no matter what, because they don't want to wake up. So that's, yeah.
I was going to say that the flip side of the technology thing too is that we're able to research. I mean, we literally have the equivalent probably or more of what the Library of Alexandria was at our fingertips with the internet. So people are educated in ways that I don't think we've ever seen in history. And then being able to globally communicate like we do, we're able to get together and discuss these things and talk about and refine our ideas and make adjustments in our worldviews. That's very dangerous to somebody that wants to control. I wouldn't be surprised if we continue to see oppression with that kind of free reign of information, because there's a lot of information. I mean, just dealing with the occult stuff that we talk about, 50 years ago, you would have had to have joined orders and been initiated to even come close, I think, to discovering the things that we discuss in here. It's amazing. But my other thing is how does one function in a system like that to maintain their sovereignty and autonomy? And what I mean by that is, I have to go to work to make money to pay bills to live. But, that's the system. That's how everybody functions, unless you own your own private business, which people do. But the mass majority of people, we work for a company, and that company does work for somebody, and it's just a big stair step thing. How do you get out of that? How do you function completely autonomous?
It can take a while to get out of it. It's the desire it's the desire to break free from it. And if you do the work on yourself and you explore the things that you're inspired to explore, and take the opportunities that your divine self or the guidance or your guides or even the God and goddess provide for you, you'll find that something will happen that will push you in the direction that you need to go in. So you'll find things happen left of field, that opportunities will come up. There's ways out, but it's about you asking for that help and for that guidance.
Interesting. Maybe that's what that book's all about that I got today.
Yeah, you've definitely got to ask for the help and be patient with it, because it's not necessarily going to happen overnight. It may take a while for you to be ready to make the leap, because it will probably come left of field. That's
a very good point. Yeah.
It'll come as a shock usually, and you may even be prepared for it, and you may even want it, but when it happens, it'll be like, oh no, I'm not ready yet. It'll be like, I'm not ready yet. It can't. But no, next year I'll be ready next year, but not now.
I was just thinking that.
But next year.
I was just thinking that. I was just thinking, be careful what you ask for, because again, none of this is new to me, and we're all on our own paths and where we're at. But it's, again, you need to be careful what you ask for. You may ask for something, you'll receive it, but are you ready? It could be a shock. It could be, whatever.
You'll have everything you need. So when it does happen, you'll be ready. You'll be able to deal with it, because you never get what you can't deal with, particularly if you've asked for it. But you have to be aware that it is probably going to be something that's going to really frighten the pants off you, and it's going to come left of field, and you're just going to have to dive in the deep end and go, okay, I'm just going into the unknown, and I'm just going to take the goddess with me, and she's just going to help. She's going to help me, because I don't know what I'm going to do.
Just change your defense undergarments.
Then you laugh about it afterwards, but
I can't even help. I mean, understanding control and power as it is and has been, as it relates to the gods and goddesses. Also,
Mm.
I did that. It's been really lately on my mind. It's like, okay, there's all these gods and goddesses that we know of, we study and this and that. But again, historically, history is written by the victors, and the victors are those people, So again, it's, I mean,
Well,
I
you've got to
guess
have
everything could be
personal
questioned.
relationships with, you've got to have your own personal relationships with the deities, because often what you'll experience with the deities aren't necessarily what's been written about them in the books. It's really comes down to your own experience. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, on that note.
On that note. Oh dear. Well, it's not fluffy bunny stuff. Like we're not going to go and pretend it's all fluffy bunny when it's not.
Yeah. And I have become aware of this the more I look and study into Wicca. I don't know. I guess you could. I mean, you could see what you want to see, and then there's the truth. I mean, and the truth is different to each and every one of us. Yeah, I mean, they're just again, and not to belabor the whole thing, but my thing with theology, which it is what it is. The devil knows the time is short. Everything is quickening, and it's like, well, okay. I know these people like Klaus Schwab, all these dictators, they follow the Bible. They use it as their manuscript. I'll say that much.
Almost like they're trying to make it happen. I have heard I have read in some books where some of, not necessarily him, but have other influential people from the past have talked about actually wanting to make it happen. So it's like they even if it wasn't going to happen, they would try to make it happen. I have read about that. Yeah, whether it's true or not, I don't know, because it's just reading what other people have said, but who were there at the time. But again, it's hard to know how true it is. But yeah, and it's not just in the Revelations though. It's in other histories, like even in Indigenous cultures, they talk about this. So it seems to be something that is universal. But the main thing is to not let fear dominate the show, just to work on ourselves, stick together, and try to lead from the heart, and not give into the fear, and be able to stand in our power, and have our own authority to say yes or no when we feel within ourselves what's right to say yes or no to. And sometimes it may be really challenging to be able to do that. I know there's people are making all sorts of sacrifices right now. It's not easy. It's not an easy time to be in. And on that note,
yeah, it's like, and the choir says,
it's a beautiful full moon. It's a beautiful full moon in Taurus. We've been Venus. We've got, there's some good aspects. Jupiter, of course, is being quite active as well. I think Jupiter's actually squaring this, and that's why everything's expanding, because Jupiter is about expansion. So yeah, it's there's going to be good times and challenging times. So that's life, and that's what we're here to do. So yeah, we have to just stick together. Utilize the group. We meet here twice a month. I was also going to put it out to you guys too, if you actually wanted to do like a formal initiation, because I have had people often inquire about, you know, whether there's like an initiation, like a formal initiation in this course, like there normally would be in Covens. So up until now, I sort of haven't thought about doing that, but I'm sort of feeling guided to maybe to offer that to people who've actually gone through the whole 12 months. So have a think about whether you're interested in doing that or not. And yeah, let me know.
I'll be
So
in on
I
it.
gotta go ahead, Bill Perea.
Yeah, so yeah, let me know.
Was you gonna say something, Freya? I felt like I
Oh
cut you off.
no, I said I'll be in on that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna chime in on my opinion about that. I would be highly interested in that. And I'll tell you my thoughts on that is initiations and rites of passage, I think, are very important because they symbolize well, how do I'm at a loss for words. You know, having gone through a program like this and learned what I learned out of it, I'm a different person than what I was before I came in. And an initiation formalizes that, if for nothing else, in my mind, as a step or a growth. You know, I'm not finding the words I'm looking for, but I think y'all get the idea of what I'm saying. You know, a lot of cultures have things like this, like, you know, bar mitzvahs. It's kind of like that. It's a entering into another phase of life. And I feel like after you do work on yourself and you contemplate things that you can improve on and change, and you shift consciousness and all these things that we experience going through a program like this, at the end of it, a self-initiation's fine, but I don't know. I think it's really powerful to come before the group and or however you want to do it, but to have a formal completion of it, you know, and does that make sense? I mean,
Yeah.
I know I'm kind of rambling. I can't find the words to communicate, but I've been feeling that for a long time. That I wish there was a formal type initiation at the end of this.
Yeah, yeah. So how it works is generally with a real, like a one where you're physically in the same place. The people who are already initiated are there, and then each person who comes in to be initiated is initiated, and they join the rest of the group. So the only people that are present during the initiation are people who are already initiated. So that would be, so it would be something extra to the, so it would be something that would be extra to the like fortnightly things that we do with the moons. Yeah. And it might be, you know, yeah, it depends on how many people are wanting to do it at a time.
Well, I'm highly interested in that idea. Yeah.
Yeah, I would like to say I've kind of been thinking about that myself too. And, you know, as some know, I am a member of the Golden Dawn as well, so which is full of initiations. And I know what it means, you know, at each different level and blah, blah, blah. But yeah, I like Robert, I've been thinking of this too. And looking back at, you know, the beginning of my time here at your school, I remember Robert he was the first person I remember at the school, you know, and I was one of the first things that, you know, one of the things I always remember is just Robert, you know, he was just there and one of the first persons I recall here, and which is, puts him in a unique position. And I just wanted, before I forget to, I've been reading your book. I should have finished it by now. I feel so bad. I mean, I should have finished. I recently I came across an author who she made an email with books available that you could review in return for the book, prior to its release. And so I signed up for that, and it's like two books I'm reviewing. So it's drawn me back in reading your book, but I have been moving and on with your book, and I'm currently at chapter 7, the Lunar Rites. And I really, the thing that stuck out for me personally was about the aim, which I remember from the beginning was something that you really emphasized, is knowing your aim. And, honestly, back at that time, this is over a year ago, I couldn't, I really didn't know what was my aim. So it's really made me think, as I've read through the chapters that I've gotten to, like, what is my aim? It's like, I know what I want. I know where I'd like to be, whatever, but what is behind that? And that's what I've gotten from your book. And so, it's been very interesting reading your book. So.
Yeah, aim is important, and aim can change. Sometimes we can start with an aim that we think's the aim, and then we realize it's not the aim, that the aim is something else. Often but they say, the Sufis say, that we come to the work always come to the work for the wrong reasons. And I think that's very true, especially often with the craft. A lot of people come to witchcraft simply because we feel disempowered, and witchcraft seems to offer empowerment. So often it's power we're looking for, and looking for it outside of ourselves, because we think, oh, witchcraft can help us, do all of these magical things and change the world around us, when we don't realize is that the actual power actually is something we have to discover within ourselves, and we have to go inwards rather than outwards to really get that sense of empowerment. So you've got to do the work to do that. So consequently, a lot of people do just fall by the wayside when it comes to practicing the craft, or they just do magic. They don't necessarily do the inner work. So it's good to think of, why did I first get interested in witchcraft in the first place? What was the real reason?
Well, for me, I think it was the combination of, because I got into witchcraft first, and then the Golden Dawn, and it's kind of like, one, you got the inner and the outer, and it's kind of brought them together, and which has opened up things for me and made me real, like you said, your aim could change. I think it has for me. I mean, I could see it more clearly as to what it really is, as opposed to what I thought it, might be back in the beginning. So.
Yeah, it's interesting. Okay. So,
one quick question.
Yeah.
What is the Golden Dawn? I missed that part.
the Golden Dawn.
What is that, Izzy?
Oh, yeah.
But when did it begin? I guess
No, what is
it was.
What is it?
What is it? It's a mixture of it's a lot of stuff. I mean, it's a mixture of Hermeticism, alchemy, magic, ceremonial magic. Because there is a difference between low magic, so-called low magic, and then ceremonial magic, is what they call high magic. Their words, not mine. and so Rosicrucianism. So it's like a hodgepodge of all these things thrown in together. It could be very complicated. I would, when I first began this course, I seen and heard about ceremonial magic. I came across certain books, in my studies. I was like, no, wait, it's too much. Well, this you got to do. It was like, no way, it is, no, I want nothing to do with that. And then it just, then the Golden Dawn, I came across it, and it became much more easier to understand things, and the fusion of the two. And there is a background historically between the founder of Wicca and the Golden Dawn that they do work together. They do work together. So I'm just, it's all coming to a head for me.
Yeah, there's definitely
Okay.
a connection historically there with Wicca and Lord Gerald Gardner and the Golden Dawn and all of that.
I didn't realize that the Golden Dawn was still an active order. I thought they disbanded. Is it under that name, or is it something else like the OTO, or what form is that?
Yeah, officially, technically, officially, they disbanded in like 1903. So they began in 1885, and officially, technically, whatever you want, disbanded, in 1903, 1911, somewhere around there. But Israel Regardi, who was one of the practitioners under Aleister Crowley, his personal
He was
secretary.
Crowley's secretary,
Yeah. He wanted, he was fearful that this knowledge would just disappear. And so he thought that was too great a loss, and thought that it would be better to break his own oath, which there are a lot of oaths, kind of like Freemasonry. And he went against his, Golden Dawn oath to keep the magic out there and writing about it, exposing rituals, which is how we know, even in Wicca, witchcraft, a lot about the LBRP, the banishing ritual, the pentagram, and and other stuff. Which a lot of this is connected and go back and forth between Wicca, witchcraft, and Golden Dawn, and so he played a big part in that. Dion Fortune, another author, you may have come across her books.
Familiar with Dion.
And so it lived on in other forms, but yeah, precisely to get to your point, the title Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn, the group that I belong to, it is, they do have the copyright, which they had to face a big legal battle, from what I understand, in order to keep that, because there were other groups, and there are. I mean, there really is no like centralized Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn, but even back in 1885, there, it's questionable whether there was there was one group. Now you have several groups, but they pretty much all teach the same, in my understanding. So, yeah, I mean, they're still around, and like the group I'm in, they do hold the copyright, legal copyright to call themselves that. You'll see other groups out there. I've seen them that call themselves Hermetic, Golden Dawn, whatever. So. Yeah.
So is this something you can share on, like, where to find this and look into it, or is it something you can't? And I respect that if you can't. Curious.
Yeah, I mean, as far as finding them, Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn, I don't know, .com.
Yeah, you can Google
I'm
them.
not sure. Yeah. I mean, whether you'll come up with the same group that I'm in, I don't know. I could send you the link. I'll look it up. if you want.
I'm not really interested so much in joining it. I was just curious about the history, because when you said that, I was like, wow, I didn't know the Golden Dawn was even still operating. I mean, I know the OTO does, and Poke Runyon, his outfit, and I think he's in California. But yeah, I haven't heard anybody mention the Golden Dawn like that before, so that was interesting.
Yeah, you've got another, aside from the group that I'm in, you've got another group that is run by an author who's big on Amazon, Chick Cicero.
Oh, the Ciceros, yeah.
And his wife, I think.
Well, they were
Sonia.
students of Israel Regardie, were they?
Yeah. They did know Israel Regardie, and so there's that connection. So yeah, I mean, there's really two that I know of, two major like arteries, veins, whatever you want to call it, Golden Dawn. I did find another with a connection to Chicago, because there was a school, a temple established here in the early 1900s, but a lot of these temples just don't make it for, one reason or another, by ego and
usually
fighting
politics.
this and that.
Egos, it's usually the egos. But
so they
ruin
kind of
everything.
come and go. Yeah.
Yeah.
But so yeah.
Thank you, Izzy. I appreciate that.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay, we'll have to call it a night. It's been a good one. Hopefully the moon, I can still see the moon out there, and she's still eclipsing.
Okay, thank you, Sandra. And
Thank you. It's been great being with you all.
Yeah.
And
Thanks,
we need to
Sandra.
get together and share the love.
Yeah. Interesting discussion tonight. Really enjoyed it. So thank you, Izzy, for your contribution tonight, and Robert also. So very good quality stuff. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
So, blessed be everyone.
Thanks.
And
Thank you.
take care.
Thanks.
Bye.
All right.